Martha Peet was born in an igloo in a community known as Taloyoak, where 4 other families lived. Martha grew up with her parents, who were closely tied to the land. Her parents were nomads and found it difficult to stay in one place for a long time. As a result, she grew up traveling with them by dog sled.
I'm going to be speaking about the Inuit beliefs, the beliefs we had many years ago. Many of these beliefs that were taught to us by our parents and our grandparents and the elders, they always stay with us, and right today, they are still being taught that way. The children are still taught those very traditional ways of our beliefs that go back many, many years. The Inuit had their own beliefs and, in a sense, their own religion they followed. Before the missionaries came to the communities of the Inuit many years ago, the children were taught to obey their parents and grandparents, as well as the beliefs of the elders. The children go outside soon after waking up in the morning to check the weather. During my growing up years, it was something we weren't told to do, but we knew that was part of our tradition. We go out to check the weather to see what the weather was like that day, and to check tied up dogs, husky dogs, to make sure none of them have gotten loose. And also to check if there were any animals to be seen, like maybe caribou or rabbits or ptarmigan. And we would notify our parents right away if there were animals out there. The children, after going outside to check what the weather is like and all the others, the children then go back to the igloo and report of any findings to our parents. The children were taught to respect any living things. For example, we were not allowed to put our feet or play with any animals that were caught, not to put our feet on the animals or mishandle any fish that was caught. We were taught to respect them. No matter how large or small the animals are, we were always taught to respect any living thing up in our Nunavut land. We were also taught to help others, especially those who are sick, widowers, the elderly. We had to go and visit them and check on them all the time. Sometimes you might forget to do that. We were always reminded by our parents. Like, for example, if somebody got sick, the children might not have heard that so-and-so is sick. So our parents would tell us, this person is not feeling well. Can you go and visit? Can you go and see how they're doing? If they need any help, to feed the dogs or check to see if they have water. We were taught all these things by our parents. We were taught to help others all the time, regardless who they are, if they're related to us, if they're not related. I remember one spring my dad that so many people in the communities, we were all living in igloos. My home community was very new. And so many people in the community got really sick and really ill. I was one of the few who did not get sick. I was fine. I must have been about 8 years old. It was in the early spring, and my dad made a hole in the water, seawater. He chiseled out a fishing hole for me to catch cod. So I would fish all day, and I caught a lot of cod, and I would put them on a sled. Sometimes if I didn't have a little sled, I would use a seal skin and put all the fish, codfish, on top of the skin, on top of it, the seal skin. And I would use a skin rope to pull the sled. The fur of the seal skin is on the bottom, so it glides very easily. So I would take all my fish home. My dad, who was also sick, he made sure I gave codfish to each of our husky dogs. And also, my dad asked me to bring codfish to the families who were sick in their igloos. They ate the codfish. I never told them, but I also used to have enough codfish to feed the cod to the dogs, husky dogs. I would feed their husky dogs. Them days there were no radios, no telephones. So I went around to different igloos, go into the igloo and ask if they want a cod. Sometimes they would want cod, sometimes they would want me to bring something from outside the igloo. Maybe they had a piece of caribou that was buried in the snow. I would dig it out and bring it into the house. And these are all the things our parents taught us about looking after other people, as we would want to be looked after if we were sick or we were stuck. So the Inuit always helped each other and not expect anything in return. It made you feel good to give to those who can't hunt, to those who are sick, and to the elderly people. This was a big part of our life. Another thing too is my daily chore was to get some water from the lakes, from a freshwater lake, fill buckets with water with a cup, the small hole on the ice that somebody had chiseled through so we can get our water from the lake. We would take buckets there and use a cup to get water from the hole into the pot, and we would carry the water back to our igloos. This sometimes is hard in the summertime, although you can just get water from the lake and carry it to your tent or a small shack that you lived in. It was hard walking over the rocks, carrying 2 buckets of water to take back to the house. This was especially tiring on the days that my mother did some washing maybe. By that time there was a store and they used to sell Sunlight soap bar. And we would use that Sunlight soap bar to put on the wet clothing. We used the scrub board to scrub the clothes and then wring them out, and then we would put them on top of the rocks to dry. This came later when there was a store. They were selling Sunlight soap bar. It was yellow. I have been living in Winnipeg for quite a few years now. I managed to find a Sunlight soap bar in one of the stores. I remember buying it. I still have it at home just to remind me this is how we used to do our laundry. We were also expected to be around, although we always had time to play with our friends and to visit. We were also expected to be around our parents. They might be sitting down during the summertime on the grass, on the ground, or on top of a rock and working on something. And they would want this and want that. We had to be around to give them these things that they need while they're working so they don't waste time getting up. And the work was from the time you get up in the morning, we'd have our tea, and if we were lucky, we would have bannock with our tea in the morning. Shortly after that, we all start working. I would either haul water or wash some clothes or hang things out to dry, like my dad's sealskin boots, put them out on top of the rocks to dry. So we were always working. We were expected to work. We were not lazy. We knew what was expected of us for the family to function properly from the time we wake up in the morning until we go to bed. There were no arguments with our parents. We were always taught not to speak back to our parents, especially to our grandparents.
Multicultural is located on Treaty 1 territory, the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and the national homeland of the Red River Métis.